this is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Josh Rush, who is CMO of Audinate. Topic of conversation is, of course, AV over IP, aligning with our AV over IP deep dive, which will be all over commercialintegrator.com in the early part of August, as well as in our big July-August issue. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining me today. Audinate, Dante, of course, ubiquitous names in this category. Really appreciate you taking some time to give us your insights.
Yeah, happy to be here with you, Dan. It's obviously an exciting topic and happy to talk to you about it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about interoperability, if you don't mind starting with that. What does it mean when it comes to AV over IP, and why is it important for the industry from your perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dan. When we talk about interoperability, I actually like to go to the most basic level first, which is ultimately what do customers want? And when you go out and talk to customers, really the thing you hear over and over again is that they want the flexibility to pick and choose the best products for the project that they're working on. So that can be dictated by price, availability, a particular fit for a product and a job, and know that those products are just going to work together. And so when we talk about interoperability, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, because there's definitely a technical component or a definition around interoperability, but ultimately, I think that's what customers are trying to achieve. When you take it down to more the protocol level or the technical level, there's a few things that are also really important there. So I think there's interoperability just in terms of being able to get signals from point A to point B. And even within that, I think there's a concept of, is that really guaranteed and tested end to end, or is this something that's maybe more up to manufacturers and how they implement different protocols? In which case, are you really guaranteed interoperability, or is it more conceptual? And I think the other maybe last point I would add is that, again, we often will talk about the interoperability of getting signals from point A to point B, but I think there's the rest of the AV over IP stack that's really important as well too. So are you able to monitor and manage all of your devices? Are you able to secure them? And so I think all of that factors into really that broader definition of interoperability.
Oh, it factors in a major way. There's no doubt about it. I want to move now to misconceptions. Are there some
Mm.
common misconceptions that you think integrators have about networked AV today? And how do you think they maybe should think about it instead?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the things that come to mind, probably the first thing would be around difficulty. I think there's this maybe misconception that you need to have a networking degree to use AV over IP. But certainly, with if you're choosing the right protocol and that protocol has the right tools, AV over IP can actually be really easy to use and get started. And again, off of that last question, it's not just about getting signals from point A to point B, but are there the right tools? Things like the routing tools, discovery, native device naming, the things that really make a solution easy to use. And that's something we've certainly invested a lot in with Dante. So it's not about just that basic protocol transport, but it's about all the surrounding tools that make it easy to use. So I think that's definitely a component of it. We've also invested a lot in training programs. So recognizing that the people in this industry, even if something is simple and easy to use, want to make sure they have that extra level of knowledge. So if there's a detailed troubleshooting situation they get into, and so our Dante certification program has been really well received in the industry. We've had over 300,000 people come through the program. And we really try and address everything from those basic systems up to, the largest, most complex installations you can imagine.
I think that's a great point. And if you had asked me that question, I would have said the very same thing. It does seem like there's a subset of integrators these days who still feel like maybe the learning curve is too steep, or I don't quite feel comfortable with this. But I think it is much less complex than many integrators realize. And there is training available. There are tools available. It's not to say there isn't a place for point to point, but the network is not a scary thing. It is an opportune thing. It is a way to take advantage of and elevate your projects, isn't it?
Exactly. Yep, I would agree with you. I think that's great insight on that.
So what has Audinate done, that you would say, to show a deepening commitment specifically to commercial installation? As you know, commercial integrator, that's what we're thinking about. How are you showing that commitment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the first thing just to maybe clarify is that Dante certainly got its start in more of the live sound segment, if you rewind 20 years ago to when we were starting. But the commercial install market has grown to be far and away our largest segment. So when you look at the number of OEMs we have, the products that are supported with Dante, that is by far our largest vertical market. Really everything across the entire signal chain. Um, so there's, I guess, starting with that, there's just the breadth and depth of Dante-enabled products that are available for the commercial install market. But then on top of that, we've introduced a number of tools to make that even easier. So one of those is a product called Dante Director, and specifically Dante Director Pro that we launched last year. That is specifically designed for enterprise customers. And so it allows you to remotely monitor and manage your Dante network and do a variety of different security related functions. So being able to set up different domains, control who can access and use those and what their level of permissions are. And then we got a lot of feedback from IT departments around other features, things like single sign-on, things like having an API available so it can integrate into other management and monitoring tools that they're using in the IT department. So that's one example, I think, providing those extra tools that sit on top of the Dante network. The other thing I'd add is that we launched a line of our AVIO adapters specifically for the installed market. We have 2-channel and 4-channel versions of those. And again, they were designed from the ground up as tools for integrators. So everything from having Phoenix connectors to some innovative mounting options. We have a system called ClickGrid that allows you to mount them really any place that you'd want to put the adapters, but also connect them together as well too. And then things like daisy chaining. So being able to daisy chain those adapters together and save on ports that are used on your switch. And maybe just circling back, I'd say the other thing for the install market is going back to training and the importance of that. So we certainly have a large number of system integrators that are still coming through our training program, but more and more we've seen end users come through as well too. And the feedback that we get is that's a really good tool as a Dante enabled system is installed in an installed project, that they can turn around and point the customers to the training program to learn more about the system and how to manage it.
I love that. I love that democratizing access to that training, making sure everyone is upping their collective IQ, so to speak, getting the most out of Dante, getting the most out of their system and their space. One of my favorite things to do, quite honestly, is when I go to Infocom, when I go to ISC, connect with Audinate, talk to you, talk about Dante, because it's
Yeah.
never the same thing. It's never the same story each year because you're always evolving. Why would you say we should bet on Dante, where it is headed over the next 5 years, 10 years? I'm sure you have a very exciting horizon in front of you. Give us a glimpse at that horizon.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the feedback, and I enjoy our conversations as well too at Infocom. So there's probably a few things I'd touch on there. So first is just again that breadth and depth of the ecosystem, because there's this thing called network effect, which is that the bigger a network gets, the more valuable it becomes. And we have certainly become that de facto standard for AV over IP. And just to put some numbers around that, we have over 700 different manufacturers that have licensed Dante, over 5,000 products that are out there on the market that can be purchased. And we have more than 1 million units a year that go out the door. So we've got millions and millions of Dante enabled products that are out there in the market, and so that provides just a really strong base to build on. So I think that's one reason to keep working with Dante, is being part of that ecosystem. From a development perspective, the thing we're really focused on is adding more and more tools that allow customers to better manage and monitor and control that Dante network that I mentioned. And so, like I was talking about with Dante Director Pro, we want to continue to add tools that make both the integrator and the end user of AV systems make their lives easier by adding more and more functionality to platforms like that. So again, continued expansion of the number of Dante enabled products that are out there, but all of the exciting tools we're working on to make everyone's lives easier.
Making people's lives easier. That is what it's
Yeah,
all about. Always good to see you, Josh. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your insights today.
absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Always a pleasure to chat with Josh Rush, who is CMO with Audinate. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com for all of our AV over IP coverage in the days and weeks ahead, including the latest from industry leaders like Audinate.